This is Dave with DRH Acrylic Creations. Today I'm sharing a fail and possibly a scrape. My colors are here. The first color is Lamp Black. That's an Amsterdam product. It's mixed with 3 parts of my pouring medium. Second was Brulee by This Little Piggy. Third is Grenache by This Little Piggy. And the last is Velvet by This Little Piggy, and it's a interference blue. If you missed any of that, don't worry about it. Everything I used is going to be down in the description below. My cell activator for today is Lamp Black again, with mixed with 3 parts Australian Floetrol. Gotta give it a little bit of a mix here, make sure that it's incorporated, and see if I needed to add anything to it. I didn't, so let's move into what we're going to do. So my plan for today is to put down 3 layers of colors side by side. The first one will be the Grenache, the second one will be the Velvet, and then I'll put a third line in between of the black. And my hopes to do is to swipe the blue through the black without cell activator, because that blue looks best when it's against a dark color. And the second one I'm going to do with the cell activator is a swirl starting over the red and around the outside. We'll see how this works. My pillow paint is going down now. This is PPG Multi-Pro in eggshell. I get this at Home Depot, and it is my go-to for pillow paints. I love the consistency of it. I love the fact that it holds up my color layers very well and yet has a very stretchy feel to it. So it allows the color layers to float across, and it's in the sense of normal fluid art, it would be considered a flow extender. In this case, it's what the colors sit on top and move. So I give it a good swath, put a puddle in the middle. Hopefully that will be enough. We'll see. And so our first color going down is going to be Grenache, and it is mixed with 3 parts of my pouring medium to 1 part paint. In this case, it's a pigment when it starts out. So mixing with pigments is a trick. You have to wet the pigment first before you can mix it with the pouring medium. If you don't do that, you risk chances of having the pigment not actually incorporate well and have grainy appearance. Next down is going to be Velvet. Yeah, it's going to look white here until it comes across the black, and then you'll see what I mean by a beautiful blue. But right now, it's going to just look white. And that's what the interference colors do. I'm putting quite a bit of paint down here. I think it's probably part of what happens later. This is Lamp Black. Now, this is mixed with my pouring medium, as opposed to with the cell activator, which I'll talk about in a minute. Again, there's an awful lot of it there, so we'll see if this is indeed what the problem was. Okay, I picked up my swiping tool, and I'm going to swipe the interference blue over the black and around the Grenache. You can see there that the blue really does shine through. That paint over the side that I just scraped off, it'll spin off at the end. Loading up the back of my swiping tool with my cell activator. This is Lamp Black, and it's mixed with 3 parts Australian Floetrol to 1 part paint. And it's more of a consistency thing when you mix your cell activators, because different paints react differently with how much you have, so you have to eyeball it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in that white section in the middle, and I'm going to swipe around the outside to get my cells. I'm going to speed up the cell formation so that you can see how quickly it actually it sinks through and you start seeing your cells. That's where the magic really happens. That's why I do this, because I love how that happens. Okay, I'm just looking at what I'm seeing here as far as the initial flow and composition. Some things I really like on this that came out beautifully, but there are also some things here I wasn't happy about at this point. So I'm going to pick it up and start stretching it just to see how it's moving around the canvas. Now, one of the things I think I did with this is I got my color layers way too close to the edges, and my pillow paint is underneath that, but it's not giving anything for the color layers to ride across. So some of my cells and some of the nice parts are starting to fold under the paint as it pushes over. So this was one of the first critical mistakes I made. And I'm at this point trying to figure out how am I going to make this move the way it needs to. You can see that I'm trying to move it around the canvas and not destroy some of the things I'm really liking about this piece at this point. So I picked up my pillow paint again, and I had the brilliant idea to go back around the outside of it and create a flow layer for this. Now I want you to remember back to when I put the paint down originally. The pillow paint, there was plenty of pillow paint there that should have been enough to carry us through. But adding this extra pillow paint meant that I now have a bunch of paint on this canvas. It took me a few minutes to actually decide what I was going to do next. So I picked up my catalyst wedge, and I thought I would, scrape through and get some interest lines in. And what I did was created a bit of a muddy mess. And you'll see it in just a second. This is when I think it dawned on me that I really had a lot of paint in the middle of this painting and that it was going to become a problem. And really not sure if it was a problem I could fix. So I'm looking, I'm thinking, what do I do next? And I think at this point I'm thinking to myself that let's spin it out and see what we have. Soft spin here first. And I noticed I got basically none of that color layer in the middle to start spreading. So I picked up my small tool and I thought I'd do some scoop and drag to see if I could fix some of the areas in there. I'm still haven't given up in my brain to realize this is not repairable at this point. Just giving it some tweaks here and there to see if I could fix it, make that muddy part better. I picked up my larger tool to pull some of the paint in, to get some get some movement going towards the end. Again, I'm just really grabbing at straws at this point. there are so many aspects of this piece that I was just really loving, and others that I was really concerned about. So I think I'm going to start spinning this out, get as much of the paint off this canvas as I can, and see where I stand. I hadn't really made up my mind at this point, and honestly I was hoping that I could salvage, but in retrospect I probably should have made up my decision already. I'm moving this off center to get the paint on the other side to centrifugal force to get it to spin off the other side, because there's a lot of white that I had to cover there. And I also wanted to save some of that blue, because it was the cells through that area were just pretty stunning. I think that's actually what kept me working on this piece. You can see I've got some pillow cells there, those big old juicy cells there. That's in the pillow paint, and they didn't bother me. Kind of like pillow cells, but as you'll see in a little bit, they're really, really nice, tight cells that were really well formed, end up spinning off the canvas. So at this point, I'm still trying to salvage. I'm going to start spinning now, and I've sped every one of the spinning parts up just a little bit, because there was a whole lot of spinning that I did with this in my salvage efforts. You'll see me pulling it off center to try to get the paint to flow in different directions and to try to get the composition right. But it's all in vain, I think. I'm getting to that point thinking that, yeah, I've got to consider what's next. So, but I'll do some more spinning. You can watch that happening. And you see that I'm talking about what's being spun off, that the color layer hadn't even started over the sides yet. Started there, you can see that it started to move, but as I'm saying, there's that I've got a lot of paint in the middle and it's really just not moving. So I'm having to really consider what's next. You can pretty much see that when I tilt it here that there's movement there. If I'd sped it up, you would definitely see me move it. So, at this point, I'm having to make a tough decision, because I love the colors and I like the interaction of the colors. But I needed to make a decision, and I decided to go ahead and scrape this one. So let's take a closer look. You can see the cells I was talking about. You can actually, if you look along the side, you can see the cells I was really hating that I lost. So this is a failure, and I can use it as an example of things you need to watch out for. And as much as I hated scraping this, it was necessary. If you found this useful tonight, I invite you to give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so, ring the bell for future notifications of videos that I put out. It's my goal to put out at least 2 per week, and I hope you're finding them useful and enjoyable. Thanks for being here. Bye now.